Hi everybody, this is a quick welcome video. I wanted to sort of show my face because in most of the videos I will not. You'll just see my screen. So I'm Kevin Carlson. I'm the professor for this course, and typically I go over what you can call me. You can call me Kevin. I'm perfectly fine with you calling me Kevin, but if you're not comfortable with that, please call me Professor Carlson or Dr. Carlson. Don't call me Mr. because I don't care what titles. You can call me Kevin, but if you're going to call me a title, please call me the correct one. So either Professor or Dr. Carlson. And some people like in between, a hybrid sort of name, and that's fine with me. So if you want to call me Professor Kevin or Dr. Kevin, that's certainly fine with me. So as part of this welcome video, I'm going to go over the syllabus real quickly. But you should read your full syllabus. I'm not going to go over every little detail. That would be kind of silly. You can read a lot of this stuff yourself. So here's the course information. If you're watching this video, obviously you're in this class. And here's my email if you need to contact me. And here's the course description and the prerequisites, so you can read through that. Again, probably if you meet the prerequisites, you're watching this, so, but we do have to list that. Obviously, this is an online course, so everything that you're going to be doing will be on Blackboard. And so there'll be video recordings of the lectures and all the other stuff that we're going to be doing in class, online activities, including assignments and exams. Those are going to be done on Blackboard. Obviously, online course, we are not going to have required meeting times. You can basically watch the lectures whenever you want, obviously. That's why you're probably taking it online because of your schedule. I am holding office hours. So, if you do email me, I should probably highlight this. Let me know what class you're in. Let me know which course and which section. I have a lot of sections of my classes, so if you email me and say I'm in your class and can you tell me about this, let me know which class you're in and section. The office hours will be all online this semester, and so those are the times, and those are the conference Zoom links. So if you haven't already, if you want to do office hours, make sure you sign up for a free Zoom account so you can open Zoom links like that. And that's going to be throughout the whole semester. That same link is going to be the same for the whole semester for the time that's listed right there. And for the office hours, there's going to be a waiting room, so you'll be walking in, if you will, logging into Zoom, and it will say something. It should say something like you're in a waiting room. And if it takes more than 1 or 2 minutes to talk to me, it's because I'm with another student. And so just be patient. Know that if you're waiting there, it's because there's another student I'm talking to. And then once it's your turn, I'll open the door. So it's kind of like a physical office. Basically, if you go to the physical office and there's office hours, there might be a couple students ahead of you waiting in the hallway, and you have to wait your turn. Same thing for this one. So if it takes a while, it just means that there's a couple people ahead of you. So we'll take people in order as they log into the Zoom waiting room. So do keep that in mind. And just a really quick thing here, definitely check Blackboard announcements. So if there's stuff about the course, I'll tend to announce it on Blackboard. And then if I want to contact you individually, typically I would email you through your CW account or whatever your preferred email is according to the CWI records. So definitely check your emails, your CWI account, or your preferred account. Some of you have a different preferred account. And then the Blackboard announcements. Again, I'm not going to go over all of this. Obviously, you can read a lot of these things from the syllabus, and you need to read all of it. And so in terms of assignments, there's going to be what's called a study review paper. I will go over that paper in a little bit more detail in the lecture. And then we're going to be doing an attachment paper. So one of the major theories in development is attachment, and it has to do a lot with many, many developmental issues. I'm not going to go over that now because we're going to have a lecture on this, and so I'm not going to lecture about something that we're going to talk about in late October or early November. You would forget it. So basically this paper is really what I consider a capstone type of paper, in the sense that you are going to be taking theory, concepts, research that will be presented to you from developmental psychology, and you're going to be applying those things to your real life experiences. And so that's a really big outcome I want you to have in this course, is that you're able to use what's in the course in your everyday life. And so this paper really focuses on that skill. And in general, the feedback I get from students is that some people say it's hard, but almost everybody says that they somehow enjoy writing the paper, that this has been a very worthwhile assignment, and they learn a lot from it. There's exams throughout the semester. There's 4 non-cumulative exams. There won't be a final, because the final will actually be an assignment that we'll talk about in a second. 4 times during the semester, you're going to be doing concepts papers, just sort of looking at each unit. So we have 4 units, 4 exams. And within each unit, you're going to be doing a concept paper where you take some concept, theoretical concept from that unit, and apply it to your big change proposal, which we'll talk about in a second. So sort of the final exam, if you will be a change proposal paper and presentation. And so basically we have a service learning component, and given COVID, we're not going to send people out into the field. And so most of you, the large majority of you, will be doing the change proposal, where basically you're identifying some sort of developmental community need and research that issue and come up with potential solutions. And so your proposal is basically identifying a need that's developmentally related, so it's developmental psychology, and then research how you can address that need in the community, and essentially then say, what are your strategies to address that issue? And it should be sort of a convincing paper, in the sense you're convincing somebody to give you funding to do your proposed interventions and preventions. And so we'll talk a lot more about this throughout the semester. So don't worry about this too much right now. We're going to take you step by step through this. And also we have a couple of TAs who will work with you, I want to say almost every week, but I don't know if it's going to be that much, but at least probably every other week on this. And so you'll get a lot of guidance on this. And like I said earlier, most of you will be doing this change proposal, which is actually quite nice, I believe, because it's integrating all that stuff that we're learning in developmental psychology in this course. You're doing some research in terms of finding empirical articles addressing that issue, and then applying those theoretical, conceptual, and research-based knowledge to real-life situations. So I kind of like that change proposal because it encompasses all of the different parts that are really important in developmental psychology and psychology in general. Because research doesn't really matter unless you can apply it to the real world. A very small number of you may have some opportunities that are a little bit more traditional service learning, but it will more likely than not be not in person, but there might be one. I'm not sure that might be in person or not. I have to double check on that. And so I'll go over those. There's several opportunities, but there's going to be very few slots for that. So we're going to go over all of the different opportunities a little bit later this week during the first week or early in the second week. And what I'll do is I'll review again what we're going to be doing, what are the options that you have in terms of selecting a topic for this. And then we're going to have you do a survey and you sort of basically rank which options that you prefer, knowing that you won't necessarily get your first option or even your second option. unless you do change proposal. Change proposal, you're almost guaranteed you're going to be able to do that. If you want to do the other things where there's only a few slots, that will be a lot more difficult to promise that you'll get. And then you'll be writing a paper. Again, there's going to be a lot of guidance on writing this paper. And this paper is going to be basically your final exam. And then with your group, so most of you will be working in groups, but that's not required. But if you do work with a group, or if you work individually, it doesn't really matter. You're going to be doing a presentation. And so you're going to be devising a PowerPoint presentation where you're basically going to try to present in a very concise fashion your arguments, so saying why this need is something that should be addressed, and then going over some of the research and theory that will help you make arguments about how you should address that issue. And then in the end, you want to convince these people that you want funding. There's obviously no people, this is just an exercise in class, so there's nobody, we're not asking money from anybody, but in the real world, when we are dealing with social problems and social needs, there's not unlimited money out there. So typically you have to make some sort of arguments to people, and that could be in the private sector or public sector, about giving you some money to do these programs. And so that's basically what the presentation is about. And so that's our signature assignment. And so if you've been at CWI for a while, I'm guessing you've encountered signature assignments. I believe that I have a signature assignment in every single course that I'm teaching here. I'm new to CWI, so I can't say there's a signature assignment in every single course, but I know that in all my courses I'm teaching there is one. So you probably have encountered this. So the signature assignment is the change proposal. And here's some instructions, but if you're going to do the more traditional service learning type of stuff, the instructions for this will be a little bit different, and we'll go over that for the people that will be doing it. But for the large majority, here's the instructions. I'm not going to go over this because right now we're just introducing this as something we're going to be doing, letting you know that we're going to give you support throughout the course to do this, and that you're going to be selecting your topic in the next 7 to 10 days. At least making your bid for a topic in the next 7 to 10 days. Here's the grading policy. Again, all this stuff you can kind of read. Here is the textbook. You probably have already gotten it. You probably have looked this up in the bookstore to see what is the textbook for this course. We have a course calendar, which I'm going to go through in a second. This is an online course, so make sure you put the time in. My experience is the #1 predictor of success or grade in an online class is putting the time in, and putting the time in early in the week. So online class, we're due it week by week, and in general the assignments are due towards the end of the week, unless I find that things are going weird. And my observation is that people that do well start early in the week. So they're on the course on Blackboard Monday or Tuesday. They're starting to do work. They're watching lectures. They're starting to work on their assignments. They're chipping away at it. And for most of those people, by Thursday or Friday, they're done. They don't have to worry about the rest of the week. Those are the more successful people, and they are the least stressed out people. The more stressed out people or the people that don't do really well are the ones that I see don't start work until Sunday or until something's due. And so all of a sudden they'll show up online and they start trying to do everything in about 3 hours. And that's not going to work. You're going to be extremely stressed out. You're going to be doing a poor job. You're going to feel like you're not going to do well in a class. And all of these things are going to be very bad. So the key for the online courses is to start early in the week, chip away at things, and do it in a relaxed fashion. The bad way of doing it would be waiting to the last minute, rushing through things, feeling stressed, feeling anxious, and doing a crappy job. That, quite frankly, is I kind of see that's kind of the two extremes. And that, I would say, is about most of the classes I've seen on online, is that you're either the early worker, you're not stressed out, you do well, or you're the procrastinator, do things at the last minute, you're stressed out and don't do a good job, and you might fail. So please don't be the latter, be the former. Be the person that's chipping away at things. And I should say on that, the due dates are not like, this is when you should be starting to work on it date. The due date is such that it's an online class, and I want to give you as much flexibility as I can in terms of your schedule. That's what online classes are about. People are taking online classes usually because their schedules don't work in terms of trying to meet at certain times with the class. So the deadlines are me trying to give you as much flexibility as possible in terms of working out your schedule. The deadlines are not, this is when you start working on it. This is, I think, the problem, is I see a lot of people who seem to think, oh, this is the day I should start working on it. No, it's not. If you have time, work on it early. Get it done. Then you don't have to worry about it. So that's my kind of final word on the procrastination issue. So late work, I'm not going to accept it unless there's something going on. So plan ahead and do the work ahead of time. So if you have a lot of zeros because you didn't meet deadlines, you're not going to do well in a class, obviously. Plagiarism, don't plagiarize in any work, whether it's the assignments, the paper, the exams. I know exams online oftentimes are tempting to people to cheat. Don't do that, please. I don't think it's because somehow you're a cheater or a bad person. I think people feel pressure. I think they see a question, I think, oh my gosh, I can't answer this, and they feel pressure, they didn't want the points, and they end up cheating by consulting some sort of outside source. My advice is don't do that. Take the 2-point loss or 5-point loss or 10-point loss, or even if it's 20 points. I don't think I ever have questions 20 points, but let's just say there's a 20-point question. Take the loss. If you don't know it, take the loss, because if you give in to temptation, try to find the answer online or some other way, and I find out about it, you're going to get a 0 on the exam. And that's the first time. And then if you do it again, then you're probably just going to fail the course. And then there's also a likelihood that it might go to a college committee, and you might be kicked out of the college for a while. Usually these types of suspensions are for a semester, for a year, etc. So don't do that. So please don't go down that road. Just admit that you don't know it. That's certainly fine. You can read these things. These are sort of college expectations. And we might be at the end of the syllabus. So I'm going to open up the schedule for our course. And both the syllabus and the schedule are online on Blackboard. And so we see that it's organized week by week. So for each week we have the topic that we're looking at, and we're doing the readings. So there's a chapter from the textbook that you should be reading. And then there'll be assignments on the right. And so all the assignments, all the due dates and times will be on Blackboard. And so it's your responsibility to know the due dates and times and to meet those due dates and times, because Blackboard has all that information for you. If you're not good at checking Blackboard, you might want to make some sort of calendar or a reminder, whether it's a paper calendar or electronic calendar, and have you send reminders to you that things are due. And so this basically the structure of the course is we're going to go through the lifespan. I should say the lifespan. We'll go through in order, development through ages through adolescence. And so we'll start with more general stuff here. We'll sort of start with how we study human development in the first week. We'll go over the experiential learning stuff. So we'll do that in the second week. Why the second week? Because I want to sort of get you on solid footing in week number 1 and just make you feel good about the course before we get into the details about how we're going to do the experiential learning aspect of service learning. And then we have another sort of preamble topic, which is just getting into biocultural factors and development in general. And then we start diving into development through age. So we start with prenatal development and birth, prenatal before you're born, and birth. We'll deal with infancy, and then for each of the periods of development that we're going to do, we're going to have a chapter on physical and cognitive development. So cognitive is about how kids think, and changes in how kids can think. And we'll also do social emotional development in another chapter. And then once in a while we'll have special chapters for some periods that apply especially for that period. But every period we're going to have a physical and cognitive chapter and then a social emotional chapter. So you can see here we have infancy, obviously. Then we have early childhood. So you see that language is a special topic. Language development is a special topic for early childhood. And then we deal with early childhood. And you see that early childhood has a special thing here about context of development. I think schools are a big thing here. Actually, schools are here. Context of development, so we'll sort of deal with about the context of development as the kid goes out. So obviously people have daycare sometimes for infants, but traditionally infancy is oftentimes rooted towards the family, and early childhood is when children start going out more from the family, going to school, things like that. And so we'll deal with context of development in that unit. And then we'll deal with middle childhood. You see that schools are a special topic there. And then the last part is we'll deal with adolescence. And so what I'll say is, actually the attachment paper is related to infant social emotional development. So we'll have the attachment lecture in October. And I'll just sort of highlight that our first exam has 6 chapters in it. And then the second one has 3, third one has 3, and the fourth one has 2. So don't worry about that. There's not going to be more questions or more weight on the first exam because there's 6 chapters. It's just that seems to be the best way to break things up. So I will try to highlight things that are most important for the exams when we're going through these things. So I just want to highlight that. Also, that will allow us to, in the early part of the course, we'll have a little bit more time probably to look at these chapters for exam 1. As we get further in the course, we have papers, and we have the change proposals that we're working on. So I want to lighten the load relative to the exams a little bit later in the course. And so this is also on Blackboard. And so again, your final exam is the change proposal and presentation. So you don't have to study for exam, you just have to sort of finish your paper and presentation. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, you can always email me. You can also come to the office hours, and I'll be happy to talk to you then. So you'll hear my voice without a face, probably, in the first lecture that I'll post on Blackboard. So I hope the semester goes well for you, and I hope you enjoy the course.